Clock Tower, Fatal Frame, Silent Hill, and Resident Evil. These prolific horror titles of the 90s and early 2000s are what people consider to be some of the most effective horror games to ever be made. But what makes them so effective? What makes a horror game scary? Obviously, everyone has different standards for what makes something scary, but all of these titles have notoriety throughout the genre, so they must be doing something right. For my thesis project, I'm going to be exploring this question by creating a horror game that captures the early horror game experience. To do this, I'm going to be using the Unity engine as well as Blender. I chose to use Unity for two reasons. One reason is to prove that the engine can be used to make effective horror games. The other reason is to encourage aspiring game devs to combine current methods of game making with influences from older games. There does seem to be some reignited interest in the early PlayStation era within indie game spaces. However, these entries are overshadowed by more modern horror games in gaming communities online. Some obvious problems will be whatever limitations the Unity engine has. It's a completely different engine to what Capcom and Konami use to make their games, so I'm expecting to have to work around the restrictions that the Unity engine has. I've used it a couple of times before during this program, and I'll really be testing it out fully now, as I have a much more time to put into it as opposed to the quick game jams we've done in earlier Atelier courses. Another limitation will be my own inexperience with sound design, as I'll be trying it out for the first time during this project. I really want to emphasize that open source software can be utilized well, and can even become industry standard. This is why I'll be using Unity and Blender, two programs I've become fond of over the years during my experimentation with game making.